So you've decided to go on a solo trip, but maybe you're feeling a little anxious about it. I think we have a solution.
Bring a friend, but don't hang out with them.
We call it the Solo 0.5 trip because it's like a solo trip and a little bit of a regular trip. Solo trip and a half. What a Solo 0.5 trip is you and a friend go to Disney World together, but you agree beforehand that you're going to spend a lot of time apart from each other so that you each have a solo trip within your friend trip.
It is a little bit antisocial, but for me, perfect. No
Also
issue
me.
at all. It is no issue at all for me.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
So Zach and I did this in August of 2019. He had a solo trip planned, and he invited me to come along to have my own solo trip with him. So we stayed in the same hotel room, and we met up for a couple meals and to go on rides and stuff. But we also agreed beforehand that we kind of wanted to do our own things. So most of the time we were apart. Some of the time we were together. It worked out awesome.
Yeah, it's super important that you talk beforehand and agree that you're not going to be hanging out the whole time. Otherwise, It will get weird. But
It'll get weird.
I think it worked out really well. It gave us a lot of freedom, and we could still do whatever we wanted and hang out and see each other or do whatever we felt like doing.
Yeah. It allowed me the freedom to do what I wanted to do, have my own space, but then if I was feeling a little lonely, I would just text you and be like, hey, what are you up to? Do you want to get back together? It sounded like we broke up and we just got back together. Our relationship was really rocky at
It's
Disney
on the
World.
rocks.
With a Solo 0.5 trip, you don't necessarily have to stay in the same hotel room. Depends on where your friendship is at, too, I guess. But it'll save you a lot of money if you cut that expense in half.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend staying in a hotel room because that is a great... they give you 2 beds. Why not?
Yeah. What's that other bed gonna do? Hold all your souvenirs? And I slept on the Murphy bed that pulled down in the new refurbished All-Star Resort rooms. I thought it was super comfortable. I didn't have a problem with it at all. Let's talk advantages. We talked about this a little bit in our Should You Do a Solo Trip video.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But we're going to reiterate them because there are so many advantages to going on a solo trip or a Solo 0.5 trip. Number 1, the freedom.
The freedom. You do whatever you want. Most importantly, you eat whatever you want. You go anywhere you want to eat whatever you want. The freedom.
Whenever you want.
Whenever you want.
And you go at your own pace.
At whatever speed you want.
If you want to park hop, you can park hop. If you want to take a boat this way instead of a bus, you do whatever you want.
If you want to eat at the Walt Disney World McDonald's, you can do so. You are free to do so.
But it's really important because when you're in a big group on a Disney World trip, it's hard for everybody to agree on what they want to do in that moment. So when it's just you deciding, you kind of feel a little lost at first. You're like, what should I do? I can do literally anything. And you just do whatever feels right.
Yeah, you just go any direction you want. It's amazing.
So good.
It's a freeing feeling that you don't really have until you do it. You don't really know it until you do it.
Yeah. Another advantage is if you're splitting a hotel room, you have that expense cut in half if you're sharing equally.
Yes, equally. Would you know anything about that?
No.
A 50-50 split?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
How was that one night that I paid, though? Was that pretty good?
It was solid.
Yeah.
Plus, you paid for the Sci-Fi Dine-In, which was the Diamond Horseshoe.
With us, we didn't split hotel right off the bat because Zach had already purchased the hotel. So when he invited me, I then instead paid for a couple of our meals to even it out. So
I'll take free food.
yeah, and I'll take free room. This might be considered an advantage. You and I flew in separately. So when I flew in, I was completely by myself traveling on an airplane. I've never done that before. And I was like, I wasn't really nervous because I'd made that flight before. Mm-hmm. But if I was going somewhere that I hadn't been before, I would have been really nervous. So it kind of gave me like a bigger sense of independence and confidence that I can fly alone. And now if I were to go somewhere that I didn't know, I would have that confidence because now I've done it somewhere that I do know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, getting some traveling experience solo while having like a security blanket of someone you know coming along with you at some point is nice.
Mm-hmm. And then with Southwest, they do just open seating. So instead of having the anxiety of, am I going to get to sit with the person that I want to sit with, I could just sit wherever I wanted because it was just me.
Southwest is just a mad scramble.
It's craziness, but man, the deals are there.
Yeah.
And the direct flight.
Well, I guess that's another advantage. You can fly in whenever you want.
Yeah.
So you don't have to coordinate a flight with the other person. You just pick whatever flight you want. That's the cheapest that works best for you. Mm-hmm. And off you go.
I like to fly in super early, so that's what I did. You like to fly in after work.
I fly in after work.
To save your vacation time at work.
Yeah.
That's what you did. Another advantage. The single rider line. That's available on, I think we found 4?
3 or 4.
Expedition Everest, Test Track.
Those were the 2 I knew.
There are single rider lines available.
At Walt Disney World.
At Walt Disney World.
I'm sure of it.
I'll put on the screen which one's there because whatever.
Oh, that one's my favorite for sure.
I like this one here.
Oh, wow. Terrible choice.
Come on.
Boo.
So our tips for your solo 0.5 trip are to find a friend who is willing to do a trip like that, where sometimes you're together, but sometimes you're apart. Talk about it beforehand. Make sure you have that agreement before you go. Decide how you're going to split costs. If you want to save a little money and split your hotel room with each other.
I recommend splitting the hotel room. We had no issue at all. It was saving money for both of us.
Yeah. I would make also maybe a dining reservation where the two of you are going together so that you do have like one dining experience together. I think that's just a nice thing to do because then you can get together and talk about what you were doing when you were apart, get together and eat and then split off again or whatever. And
especially if you find, I think I would find sit-down dining a little bit weird as one person, but with you along, it was not an issue at all.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying it is weird to do, but I've
never done it.
Super comfortable, yeah.
I'd rather, if I'm alone, I'd rather just eat something quick and go.
Yeah, I usually do quick service.
Yes.
If I'm alone, so.
Pecos Bill's the best.
So that's it. Solo 0.5 trip. It's a small idea, but it can save you some cash, give you some freedom, and give you a lot of fun at Walt Disney World.
Mm-hmm. It's a good segue if you're kind of unsure about doing a complete solo trip. This will sell you on the idea for sure. And
yeah, it's a good warm-up.
Yeah.
It's a good warm-up for a solo trip, too. If you don't want to dive right into the solo trip, Solo 0.5.
Solo 0.5. We'll see you real soon. Together, but separate. On a Solo 0.5.
All right, that's good.
Yikes! There's an advantage.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. Wrap it up. I think we're good. We stretched this long enough. In Tokyo, they have a quick service place, the Pan Galactic Pizza Port, and they have a cosmic ray-like animatronic.
It's his cousin.
Tony Solaroni.
Tony Solaroni!
And I have video. We're going to put it in right here for y'all because Tony Solaroni is the biggest treat. And this is a huge tangent and not related to the Solo 0.5 trip, but Tony Solaroni needs to come to America.
How? Okay. One video we'll talk about how they can incorporate
future video
Tony Solaroni into refurbished Tomorrowland.
I'm going to beg for Tony. Oh my God, please.
In the sky and the sea beats supply.